I found my husband's burner phone hidden inside his golf bag. I didn't say a word. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Instead, I cloned every message, every photo, every voicemail onto my own device. And what I discovered about my own baby sister made me plan a revenge neither of them would ever forget, right in front of our entire family. I'm so glad you're here. If you're watching this video, please like and subscribe to my channel and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I want to know how far my story of sweet revenge has traveled. It was a Tuesday morning in early September when everything changed. I was sitting on the back porch of our bed and breakfast in Savannah, Georgia, watching the Spanish moss sway in the morning breeze. The air smelled of magnolias and fresh biscuits from the kitchen. For 35 years, I had built this place from nothing. From a rundown Victorian house with a leaky roof to one of the most beloved BBs in the historic district, every brass doorknob, every hand-stitched quilt, every recipe in our famous Southern breakfast, I had poured my soul into it. My husband Walter came downstairs, already dressed in his golf polo and khakis. He was 66 years old, still handsome in that silver fox way, with a smile that used to make my heart flutter. Now that smile just looked practiced, rehearsed. "Heading to the club, Maeve," he said, grabbing his keys without looking at me. "Don't wait up for dinner. The guys want to play 18 holes and grab drinks after." I nodded, watching him through the kitchen window as he loaded his golf bag into the trunk. Something felt off. Walter used to kiss me goodbye every morning, used to tell me I made the best sweet tea in Georgia, used to look at me like I was the only woman in the world. Somewhere along the way, all of that had stopped, and I had been too busy running the BB to notice exactly when. That evening, while Walter was supposedly at the club, I went to gather his laundry from the closet. His golf bag was sitting there, half unzipped. Strange, I thought. He said he was playing golf, but his clubs were right here. I reached inside to move it, and my fingers brushed against something hard and rectangular. A phone, but not his regular phone. This one was a cheap prepaid model, the kind you see in crime shows when people don't want to be traced. My hands trembled as I pressed the power button. The screen lit up with a photo of a sunset over the Savannah River. No password. Careless. Or maybe he just never expected his boring old wife to find it. I opened the messages, and my heart stopped. "Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." The message was from a contact saved simply as D. I scrolled down, my throat tightening with each word. "When are you going to tell her? I'm tired of sneaking around." "Soon, baby. We just need to get the paperwork sorted first. Once she signs, it's all ours. I can't wait to redecorate that stuffy old place. First thing I'm doing is getting rid of those hideous quilts she loves so much." I sank onto the bed, clutching the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. Paperwork? Signs? What were they planning? And who was this D who wanted to destroy everything I had built? I took photos of every message, every exchange. Then I put the phone back exactly where I found it, adjusting the golf bag to look untouched. My hands were shaking, but my mind was sharp, clear. After 42 years of marriage, I had learned one thing: never confront a liar without evidence. They'll just spin another lie. The next few days, I watched Walter like a hawk watching a snake. I noticed things I had ignored for months: the way he checked his regular phone and then his pocket, where I now knew the burner lived, the way he took calls in the garage, the way he showered immediately after coming home from golf, scrubbing away whatever scent he had picked up. One evening, I was sorting through old photos for a guest album when I found a picture from my 60th birthday party 4 years ago. There I was, surrounded by family, beaming at the camera. My younger sister Diane stood next to Walter, her hand resting casually on his arm. I had thought nothing of it at the time. Diane was always touchy-feely, always the life of the party. She was 56 now, divorced twice, always struggling financially. I had helped her more times than I could count, paid her rent when she got evicted, loaned her money for her failed boutique. Let her stay at the B for free whenever she needed to clear her head. I stared at that photo for a long time, at Diane's hand on my husband's arm, at the way they were both smiling at something off camera. No, it couldn't be. I picked up my phone and called Margaret Chen, an old friend from my church group. Her nephew was a private investigator in Atlanta, very discreet, very thorough. "Margaret," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I need Thomas's number. It's urgent." She didn't ask questions. God bless her. Within an hour, I had an appointment scheduled for the next morning. Thomas Chen was a small, serious man in his 40s with kind eyes and a professional demeanor. We met at a coffee shop on the outskirts of town, far from anyone who might recognize me. "Mrs. Patterson," he said after I explained the situation, "I understand this is difficult. Can you tell me anything about this D person? Any suspicions?" I hesitated. Saying it out loud felt like making it real. "My sister," I whispered. "Diane. I think it might be my sister." Thomas nodded without judgment. "I'll find out. Give me a week." Those 7 days were the longest of my life. I smiled at guests. I flipped pancakes. I arranged flowers in the parlor. And every night, I lay awake next to Walter, listening to him breathe, wondering how long he had been betraying me with my own blood. On the 7th day, Thomas called. "Mrs. Patterson, I have what you need. Can you meet me?" An hour later, I sat across from him in the same coffee shop, staring at a manila folder thick with photographs. The first photo showed Walter's car parked outside a motel on Highway Muribe, the Magnolia Inn, a cheap place, the kind that rents rooms by the hour. In the next photo, I saw him walking toward a room on the 2nd floor. And there, waiting in the doorway, in a red dress and too much lipstick, was my baby sister Diane. I felt the room spin. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. "There's more," Thomas said gently. "I managed to record some of their conversations in the parking lot. They didn't notice me." He handed me a small recorder. I put in the earbuds and pressed play. Diane's voice came through first, sharp and calculating, nothing like the sweet sister act she put on around me. "Walter, when is she going to sign those power of attorney papers? I'm getting tired of playing nice every time I visit." Walter laughed. "Patience, baby. I've been telling her she needs to step back from the business, that the stress is too much for her age. Once she signs over control to me for health reasons, we're golden. Then we file for divorce, claim she's not mentally fit, and the B is ours." "Ours," Diane repeated with satisfaction. "I've already picked out new furniture. That frumpy Southern grandma style has gotta go." "Whatever you want, sweetheart. It's going to be our place soon." I ripped out the earbuds, my chest heaving. They weren't just having an affair. They were planning to steal my business, my home, my entire life's work, and they were going to do it by making everyone think I was losing my mind. I thought about all the times recently when Walter had suggested I was forgetting things. "Maeve, didn't you already ask me that?" Or, "Honey, we talked about this yesterday. Don't you remember?" I had started doubting my own memory. And Diane, sweet Diane, who would pat my hand and say, "You work too hard, sis. Maybe you should let Walter handle more of the business stuff." They had been gaslighting me, setting the stage for their con. Something cold and hard settled in my chest. Not grief, not despair. Something else entirely. I looked at Thomas. "I need everything you have, every photo, every recording, and I need you to keep watching them." He nodded. "What are you planning, Mrs. Patterson?" I smiled, though it didn't reach my eyes. "Our family reunion is in 3 weeks. Diane organizes it every year at my BB. It's the biggest event of the season. 50 family members from all over the country." Thomas raised an eyebrow. And I'm going to give them a reunion they'll never forget." Over the next 3 weeks, I became the best actress in Savannah. I smiled at Walter over breakfast. I hugged Diane when she came to help plan the reunion. I even signed a few preliminary documents Walter put in front of me, though I was careful to read every word and only sign things that meant nothing. Meanwhile, I was building my case. Thomas continued his surveillance, capturing more photos, more recordings. I discovered they had been meeting at that motel every Tuesday and Thursday for over 2 years. 2 years of lies. 2 years of my sister eating at my table, kissing my cheek, and then sneaking off to sleep with my husband. I found a lawyer in Charleston, far enough from Savannah that no one would talk. Patricia Okonkwo was a fierce woman in her 50s who specialized in divorce and business protection. "Mrs. Patterson," she said after reviewing my evidence, "you have more than enough for a divorce that will leave him with nothing. But this business scheme they're planning, that's fraud. You could pursue criminal charges." "I don't want him in prison," I said quietly. "I want him humiliated. I want the whole family to see what he and my sister really are." Patricia smiled. "Then let's make sure your assets are protected and the divorce papers are ready to serve at the moment of maximum impact." I also called my son Michael, who lived in Atlanta. He was a good boy, 40 years old now with a family of his own. I told him everything. He drove down that same weekend, and we sat on the back porch where I had first discovered the burner phone. "Mom," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I can't believe Dad would do this. And Aunt Diane? She's been like a second mother to me. I know, sweetheart, but I need you to trust me. And I need you to act normal at the reunion. Can you do that?" He squeezed my hand. "Whatever you need, Mom, I'm with you." The day of the reunion arrived. September 28th, a beautiful Saturday with blue skies and just a hint of autumn in the air. The B was decorated with sunflowers and checkered tablecloths. I had hired extra staff for the occasion. Everything was perfect. Diane arrived early, of course, playing the role of devoted sister and event coordinator. She wore a floral dress and a smile that made me want to slap her. "Maeve, you look tired," she said, hugging me too long. "Are you sure you're up for this? I could handle things if you need to rest." "I'm fine," I said sweetly. "Never better." Walter was working the crowd, shaking hands with cousins and uncles, playing the charming patriarch. I watched him accept compliments on the B that he had never lifted a finger to build. Around 3 in the afternoon, after the barbecue and before the family slideshow, I excused myself to check on something in the house. I found Marcus, my tech-savvy nephew, who had flown in from California. He was the only other person besides Michael who knew about my plan. "Is everything ready?" I asked. He nodded, his face serious. "Loaded and queued up. Right after Grandma's birthday photos, just like you said." "Thank you, Marcus. I owe you." He shook his head. "No, Aunt Maeve, they owe you." I returned to the garden where the projector screen was set up. Diane was fussing with the laptop, preparing her curated slideshow of family memories. Little did she know, I had added a few memories of my own. "Everyone gather around," Diane called out in her hostess voice. "Time for the family slideshow." The crowd settled into lawn chairs and blankets. Children sat cross-legged in front. I found a spot near the back where I could see both the screen and the faces of Walter and Diane. The slideshow began. Baby photos, wedding pictures, Christmases and graduations. Everyone oohed and ahed appropriately. Walter had his arm around Diane's shoulder, playing the role of supportive brother-in-law. Then the screen went black for a moment, and a video began to play. It was nighttime footage, grainy but clear enough. Walter's car pulling into the Magnolia Inn, the door of room Hai Chumlea Bone opening, Diane in that red dress, pulling him inside. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone dropped a glass. "What the hell?" Walter stood up, his face draining of color. But the video continued. Diane and Walter in the motel parking lot, talking. When is she going to sign those power of attorney papers? Diane's recorded voice rang out across the silent garden. "I'm getting tired of playing nice." Walter's laugh echoed like a death knell. "Once she signs over control to me for health reasons, we're golden. Then we file for divorce, claim she's not mentally fit, and the B is ours." The garden erupted. Cousins shouted. Aunts clutched their pearls. Children were ushered away from the chaos. Diane was screaming, "Turn it off! Someone turn it off!" But Marcus had disabled the power button. The recording played in full, every damning word, every scheming whisper. Walter tried to run to the laptop, but my son Michael stepped in front of him. "Sit down, Dad." "Michael, you don't understand. This is taken out of context." "I understand perfectly," Michael said, his voice like ice. "I've heard the full recordings, all of them." Diane was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. She turned to me, her expression a mixture of rage and desperation. "Maeve, please, we can explain." I stood up slowly, walking toward her with a calm I didn't know I possessed. "Explain what, Diane? How you've been sleeping with my husband for 2 years. How you called me a frumpy old fool. How you planned to steal my business, my home, everything I built with my own 2 hands." The crowd was silent, watching. "You sat at my table," I continued, my voice steady. "You ate my food. You borrowed my money. You called me sister. And the whole time, you were plotting to destroy me." Diane's face crumpled. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're sorry you got caught." I turned to Walter. "And you. 42 years. I gave you 42 years of my life. I raised your son. I supported your career. I built this business while you played golf and complained about being bored, and this is how you repay me." Walter opened his mouth, but I held up my hand. "Save it. I don't want your excuses." I nodded to Patricia, who had been standing quietly by the garden gate. She walked over with a folder and handed it to Walter. "You've been served," she said professionally. "Divorce papers. And a restraining order. You have 48 hours to remove your belongings from the property." Walter's face went from white to red. "You can't do this. Half this business is mine." "Actually," Patricia interrupted, "according to the prenuptial agreement you signed in 1983 and the separate property documentation Mrs. Patterson wisely maintained, over the years, you are entitled to exactly nothing. The B is hers and hers alone." I watched Walter's world collapse in real time. The confident smile disappeared. The charming facade crumbled. He looked old suddenly and pathetic. My cousin Robert, a deputy sheriff, stepped forward. "I think it's time you both left." Now, Diane looked around desperately, but no one met her eyes. Even her own children, who had come with their families, looked away in shame. "My things," she whimpered. "My purse is inside." "I'll have it mailed to you," I said. "Now get off my property." They left in separate cars, tires crunching on the gravel driveway as the whole family watched in silence. When the sound of their engines faded, the garden remained quiet for a long moment. Then my 89-year-old mother stood up from her chair in the front row. "Well," she said in her sharp southern drawl, "I always knew that Diane was no good. Maeve, honey, come help me get more sweet tea. The rest of you, stop gawking and eat your dessert." And just like that, the tension broke. People started moving, murmuring, processing what they had witnessed. Several cousins came to hug me. Aunt Lucille patted my hand and said, "Walter never deserved me anyway." Michael found me in the kitchen a few minutes later. I was standing at the sink, staring out the window at the oak tree where Walter had proposed to me 43 years ago. "Mom?" He put his hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" I turned around and hugged him. "I will be." In the weeks that followed, the divorce was finalized. Walter tried to contest it, claiming I had fabricated evidence, but Patricia had documentation from Thomas that held up in court. He walked away with his personal belongings and nothing else. Diane's children stopped speaking to her. Her reputation in Savannah was destroyed. Last I heard, she had moved to Florida to start fresh. I didn't wish her ill, I just wished her gone. Michael and his wife decided to move to Savannah to help me run the BB. My grandchildren now run around the same halls where I once chased after Michael with a wooden spoon for stealing cookies before dinner. I still wake up early every morning to make biscuits. I still arrange fresh flowers in the parlor. But now, when I sit on the back porch and watch the Spanish moss sway in the breeze, I feel something I haven't felt in years: peace. Some people asked me if I felt guilty about exposing them so publicly, if I should have handled it privately, preserved some dignity. But here's what I learned after 42 years with a man who never truly valued me. Dignity is earned, not given. Walter and Diane stripped away their own dignity the moment they chose betrayal over loyalty. I simply held up a mirror. I kept my bed and breakfast. I kept my son. I kept my self-respect. And most importantly, I kept my recipes, including the one for sweet tea that Walter never knew the secret ingredient of. Now it's the most requested drink at the B. And every time a guest compliments it, I smile and think about how some secrets are worth keeping. Did you like my story? What would you have done in my situation? And most importantly, where are you listening from? Drop a comment below and let me know how far this story of revenge has traveled. If you enjoyed this, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps me bring more stories like this to you. There's so much more on my channel waiting for you. I'll see you in the next story. With love, Auntie Maeve.